Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Always been a pleasure to catch up with Liam Cameron. None more so than today, though, obviously, because it's in the wake of what's been a bit of a whirlwind for you, I think I can describe it as. I was there for the build-up to your first fight back. Everybody knew your story, and it was like a case of, let's see what happens here. We knew what you'd accomplished beforehand, but you fought a guy in Lyndon Arto on a Wasserman show. It was a good fight, a close fight, competitive. He'd just been in there with the likes of Bivol. You then brought over to Saudi Arabia to fight Ben Whittaker, the guy who everybody's talking about as the next big superstar. And look, with all credit to him, he still may go on to do incredible things. But you went out over there and you flipped the script. Now the dust has settled. So how do you feel? What's been going on? What's changed?
Yeah, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone what's messaged me, everyone what's got in touch. My trainer, Pierce Gudgeon, the gym, what it's done for me at Steel City. Yeah, I've been boxing since I was 8. I had 2,000 followers 10 days ago, and I've got like 24,000. I've had floods and floods of messages, and like obviously Pierce messaged me when you've got Matt wants to do an interview with you at 12 o'clock. So I thought, because you were the first guy whatever interviewed me, I thought, do you know what, I'm going to come down and do it.
Well, look, I appreciate that. I knew about you before all this kind of thing, and when I think the GBM show came up, it was one of them where it's interesting because you're like, look, he's changed his life round. He's going back in the ring. We've seen what he'd done before the timeout. Where does this story kind of go? If it goes anywhere like it has done, it's a bit of a movie for you. And look, what's come off the back of this performance from Ben Whittaker is, obviously you mentioned your followers going up, but forgetting that, you've got a promotional deal with Frank Warren, who I think you'd be hard pressed to say he hasn't got the best stable of fighters in this country at present. Before we just reflect on the fight of the week, what was that moment like when you found out you had a promotional deal with Frank? Because you must just sit there and go, I'm so glad I didn't come back to the sport, because it's gives something back to you finally.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. As soon as I got out of the ring, Lee went, you got a promotional deal with Frank Warren, so I was thinking, can't be real this. I didn't realise how big it were going to go, this fight. I come back to boxing, I never put any pressure on myself. I know I said I want to be British champion this, but that's just for like talk, do you know what I mean? Never put no pressure, expected nothing from boxing, just to come back and give it one last go. And I'm still not going to put pressure on myself. I think I'm a better fighter when I am the underdog. People write me off, and I like to prove it wrong.
Yeah. I saw in the build-up to the fight, we know kind of what character Ben's like, and look, some people are like that, some people aren't. It's how he chooses to go about his thing, and I'm not going to sit and slander him on here because it's his personality, it's what he does. But a lot of the time we see fighters who, you can see them, he's under the skin. You all week, I think if you'd have worn a heart rate monitor, it's like it wouldn't have gone over a certain amount. You look so calm. Where does that come from? Do you think before your hiatus from the sport you would have reacted differently? And I know you've been through a lot in life. Is this just like a case of, look, no matter what you can sort of throw at me, it's like water off a duck's back kind of thing? Is that your mentality? Because you mentioned he was saying a lot of stuff to you.
Yeah, he was saying a lot of stuff. It's probably the first person I've boxed. I know this is going to sound bad, or I couldn't really take to. I keep mentioning Arthur, you were respectful before, and if you're respectful before, I'll be respectful after. So it were kind of, what do I do here? He's trying to get under my skin. I knew what he were doing. It were transparent. I just thought, I'm not letting you under my skin, mate. I'm going to get you. And that was just the game plan to get him. I didn't even get out of second gear, because the game plan was to get him a bit later. So I was just staying with him, hitting him with hard shots. There weren't really my full pelt power in the shots. I didn't go up any gear. It was just a case of breaking him down, but it happened so fast. He were absolutely knackered after 2 rounds. Before he flipped out ropes, I hit him with a body shot, and that took everything out of him.
Was that a case of, you mentioned there the game plan, was it a case of round management, like not exerting all your energy when you think you've got him hurt, just like you mentioned, like little by little, just taking little bits from him, and then down the stretch maybe having a go and seeing can we get him out of there, kind of thing?
Yeah, well, 100%. I don't know what he's going to be like in rematch, but for him to beat me now off that performance, he's got to double in strength, double in power. There were loads of amateur mistakes he made. Every time he hit me with a tap, he'd like that. That's what we did in amateurs 15, 20 years ago. He didn't. I'm going to hit you all over place. As long as the ref allows it, I am going to hit you all over. And that was just a wake-up call. Welcome to professional boxing.
Well, you're well schooled. I think people forget that because they focus on, look, this is a comeback story, etc. But you're not a quote unquote journeyman. With all due respect, you're here to do a job. You're here to win. But I think people had that perception. Oh, he's brought over. Ben's the A side, and look, he's done a lot of good things in the sport, and he's garnered a hell of a lot of attention. But you've seen a lot growing up, especially in a city like Sheffield, where you see everyone wants to become the next Prince Nassim. They all do the footwork, they all do the showboating, and there'll only ever be one Prince Nassim. But did you sort of see that in him and go, look, there's nothing different here. I haven't seen anything different. Like, I've grown up around it.
Well, I was thinking how many fights I've had. 60 amateurs, 31 professional, I think. I've stopped counting now at fights. But all the spars. I thought, if I've had all these fights and Ben's going to show me something different, he can't do, because I've seen it all. He's not. He's had, how many fights did he have? Eight pro fights. I only watched 2 of his fights, and that kind of rate him when I said that. I was just telling the truth. I've only seen 2 of his last fights. Never watched any of his Olympic fights. I only knew Ben Whittaker because me and my girlfriend watched one of his fights and we were taking piss out of his opponents, and I was actually laughing at it. He's not a killer, is he? He's a point-scoring boxer.
Do you think in this rematch he'll have a different approach? Because I don't think in your fight for the rounds it went, I don't think we saw as much of the showboating. Do you think that was down to maybe he realised after a round or two, I can't afford to, or that something was what wasn't himself, that maybe you'd thrown him off by not reacting to him all week? Because he wasn't flailing his arms, he wasn't doing the tap on the head. There was a difference in him.
Do you know what it is? Every one of me fights what I should have got beat by, even in amateurs when I wasn't seeing ABAs. Every one of them guys had an off night. We've heard he's had an off night, his neck's hurting, his back's hurting, his foot's hurting. He didn't perform right, he needs a new training team. People need to give me credit because I did that. It weren't, I said what I was going to do. I said I'm going to walk him down. I might eat some shots. I've got a great chin. I've never, obviously, touched wood. I've never been down, ever. I've never really been hurt other than when I made daft weights when I was younger. So, yeah.
Do you think, I've said this to a lot of people, do you think that's just boxing though? Because, do you know, even when you look at a guy like, over the weekend for example, we've seen Tim Tszyu's just lost a world title fight. He's just come off the back of a really tough fight. But he's took the hard fight, and it's like, oh, that's poor matchmaking. Yeah. But then if he goes and fights someone who he's expected to beat, it's like, why is he in with him? And then when you box and you win, it's, oh, he's over the hill, or he just didn't perform. Sometimes it's just, no, he was the better man on the night, and I think in a lot of people's eyes, you were.
Yeah, definitely, better man on the night. Listen, obviously, I've said before, there's no way on that performance is it ever going to beat me, honestly. 10 times out of 10 I fight him, I will beat him if he boxes like that. I don't think if he boxes me next or in 2 fights later, he's never gonna be different.
Have you had these discussions already? And I can imagine that your phone hasn't stopped, and you're probably seeing messages from people who you think, you know what, where were you at the start of this comeback kind of thing and all this kind of stuff. But have you managed to speak to Lee, speak to obviously the guys at Queensbury and say, look, I know it's early, because I'm sure he's hurting. Look, everything aside, it'll be a humbling experience maybe for him. But you want to kick on now, and the obvious fight that makes sense is to run that back. Have you had any discussions or anything about it?
I don't know what Frank Warren's offered. I'd just leave it to my team. I ain't got a clue. Do you know what it is? I'm winging boxing at the minute, honestly, and I prefer to wing it because it's working for me. I don't have no plans. Don't know how much I'm getting. Don't know what this deal's worth. I might be on a gold mine, what I don't know about. We've put out sponsorships if anyone wants to sponsor me, because people think I were there to lose that night and to get beat up, and for him to look massively good on that show. And I just believed in myself because I pictured myself with them belts, and I could picture it. With the Lyndon Arthur fight, I only had 1 round blowouts, do you know what I mean? First 10 rounder, he's just boxed Bivol. He's a knockout artist, so I'm going in there thinking, might be in a bit of a trouble here. But I just winged it. And if I put it on Lyndon from round 2, and it were an hard fight for him, which he said it were as well.
Yeah,
it were a close fight, yeah. If I would have done that from start, if I knew Ben were going to chuck me over at ropes, I'd have done that from round 2.
When that happens immediately, obviously you both went over. I think Ben Shalom's mentioned obviously maybe things we don't know of, and you know, apparently problems with necks and stuff in the past that wasn't disclosed, and bit of a worry there kind of thing. But did you get a feeling, look, when this decision's announced, there's no doubt in my mind I've won this fight? Because I saw you after it, and I saw the corner team, and I thought there's no doubt here. And I just thought, oh, you do wonder kind of thing. But even in the result not going the way you thought, your stock's gone up through the roof. Is it kind of a bit bittersweet, the fact that you feel like I should have got the nod there, but ultimately what it's led to is much bigger for you?
Yeah, I wanted that win. I was having a cheeky look at scorecards, and I saw me in front by 1 point, and I thought, I've won it, but then you forget there's another 2 judges in there.
Yeah.
So it were all mad, but do you know what it is? It's like everyone's making excuses for Ben. You look at that slow-mo on that picture, he pulls me over like that, and he lifts his head back, and I slam on my neck. My neck's still bad now, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. It is. I'm not going to lie, my neck slammed on the floor, and I was like, my legs were behind me, and the security's holding me down. Grant runs round going, get up, look at him, he's here. And Ben looks up to look at him, and I thought, it were a way out for him, weren't it?
Well, look, in terms of, I suppose, I saw an interview you did. I want to bring this up. I think this sort of shows the man you are, rather than like what people expect when they watch professional boxing. You've obviously had this great night, and I think it was with Boxing King Media, and it's like, have you treated yourself to anything? And you were like, yeah, you know what, I've upgraded my internet. It's buzzing now. No more slow internet and all this kind of stuff. I think that just says like a lot about you. Like, because when people have them type of landmark moments, you often see them. There'll be a bit of flash here, flash there, and you're just like, yes, just upgraded the internet. You'll never change, will you? No matter if you had, £1 billion at your bank today, you'd always be the same bloke, wouldn't you?
Definitely. I wore this tracksuit all week in Riyadh. Yeah. He asked me, what did you treat yourself? So I'm thinking, wait, what did I ever treat myself? Last thing I treated myself. And that's the only thing I could think about, because when you're boxing and you're boxing at a level you need to be, you can't have fun. Well, you can't really do no. I didn't enjoy Saudi Arabia because I were in my room constantly.
You didn't enjoy it?
No, not like, it's not an holiday, it's serious. I'm there like lamb to slaughter. Everyone thought they were going to do me in. And when you look at, if you're only as good as Sky want you to be, and they built him up massive. So I'm watching all his highlights thinking, like, when they're editing him, thinking, he's skillful, innit? But he can build anyone up.
Well, look, we look forward to seeing what comes next for yourself. Have you got genuine ambition now? I know you said, I said the British chat title before, just because, you know, it's obviously it's a good thing to say. It's a good thing to win, by the way, as well. But do you have them ambitions now, or is it a case of, you know what, I've given a lot to the sport. The sport's took a lot from you, but now you sort of going to reap these rewards, you know, touch wood, fingers crossed. Is it about biggest fights possible, most money? If you get a title on the way, that'd be great. Is it, I definitely want that British. What is it, or is it see what I wake up and feel like in the morning?
Yeah, like I say, I'm winging it at a minute. The WBO and IBF were on the line when I boxed, and it didn't happen. I boxed for WBA against Lenihan, didn't happen. But I ain't got the belts, but my name's going bigger in boxing, so I'm just going to wing it. I'm not going to put no pressure on myself. What will come, and I'll always turn up and I'll always do my best.
Brilliant. Well, look, we look forward to seeing what is next. Congrats on the promotional deal. Terrific performance out there. Fingers crossed we see this rematch, and we will catch up very soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.